What was the most legendary thing a student did at school? Piano in the middle of the theater stage. Unattended high school seniors wandering around during study hall. One of the students sits down and starts banging on the keys and screaming random lyrics. The rest of us are sitting in the seats. While he's banging away, the side stage door opens and the principal is standing there. Obviously had heard the ruckus and came to investigate. The student on the piano has their back to the principal and doesn't notice. We are rolling with laughter as he continues to make up ridiculous lyrics and mash the keys. Unaware, he stops to admire his fans and the principal clears her throat. He turns around to see her. He slowly turns back to the piano, closes the rack over the keys, expression unchanged. He calmly gets up and walks to the stage door opposite of the principal and exits the stage. Minutes go by as we are dying with laughter and the principal is still just standing there assessing. Then, the same student appears in the sound booth behind us, having gone under the stage, now wearing a woman's dress and wig that he had found in the changing rooms. He throws open the window and shouts down, "Miss Thompson." I heard a ruckus and came running to see what was afoot. The principal just laughed and exited stage right. We only had like a week left and she didn't care. They found out the password for the high school's website and edited all sorts of things. Whether it was exposing certain faculty for being scummy creepy by rewriting their bias, or changing the campus security safety tab to snitches get stitches. It made quite the buzz for years to come, and as far as I know, they never got caught. My friend once was pissed off at the rest of us guys, 5 of us. He chased us into the bathroom because he wanted to be a tough guy and thought one of us was hiding in a stall. He says, "Peekaboo, I see you," and kicks the stall door in on a teacher we all knew taking a crap. The teacher said, "I see you too, Nathan. Now close the door. I will die the day I forget about that, lol." Maybe not legendary, but an interesting and funny experiment. There were 3 high schools in my hometown. 2 of them, both named after famous historical figures of said town, were in a sort of rivalry with each other, nothing serious. But the students would casually trash talk the other school a lot, mostly in good fun. Each school had a display case with a bust of their respective historical namesake somewhere in the building. They were just some decoration object that you would pass by every single day and pay little attention to, so we figured we'd test how little attention people actually paid these things. So one night, a few buddies of mine and I got together. Most of us were from my school, but we had a few inside men from the other one as well. We split up into 2 teams, got access to both buildings simultaneously, picked open the very cheap locks on the display cases, grabbed the busts and switched them. Keep in mind, these schools were not that close to one another, and none of us had been old enough to drive at that point. So we had to carry these ducking limestone busts through half the town. We then locked the busts into the display cases again, and left. We had managed completely non-destructive entry to both schools, so nobody ever found out. It took almost an entire school year for anyone to notice. To this day, no teacher has ever found out who was responsible, but no damage was done, so they didn't try too hard to figure it out. This kid in my class put the school for sale on Craigslist. He provided the school's attendance office number as a point of contact because everyone hated the receptionist there. They were getting calls from interested buyers for days who wanted to buy multiple acres of property with a big swimming pool and a track. There was this guy who was almost universally liked in my high school. Did everything. App classes, theater, football, track. His grades were good, but he wasn't the valedictorian. That didn't stop him from getting up during the graduation ceremony and giving a speech like there was nothing strange about it, and they let him finish, too. This kid once brought a backpack full, and I mean completely full of marbles to school. He went to the main staircase near the front up the 3rd floor and dumped the whole bag over the stairwell. How those marbles didn't break the glass trophy case at the bottom is beyond me, but marbles went everywhere. Surprisingly, he never got caught. He either managed to run to one of the stairwells at the end of the hall and get to the bottom before teachers had time to react, or he hid somewhere until the first bell rang. One of my friends brought in a universal remote and tuned it to the TV in the lunch hall. This TV's original remote had long since been lost, so he had the only one. Instead of the news during lunch he would change it to sitcoms etc. The teachers were pretty clueless and kept flicking through dozens of channels only for him to immediately change back. They even started turning it off. He just turned it back on again. About a month of this, and the teachers finally gave up. Nobody except our immediate friend group knew it was him doing this, but the entire school had whispers about this mystery man for ending the scourge. That was the news channel. A kid hit the fire alarm when the mayor was visiting our school. For context, we had an assembly the week before where we were specifically told not to hit the fire alarm during the mayor's visit unless there was an actual fire, as it was a common occurrence at our school to just hit the fire alarm whenever. Hey Bob, do you have any plans before school? Hey Bill, yeah, I'm just going to pull the old fire alarm again. I got a math test at 10 and I didn't study. I have a study hall around there. I'll pull the old alarm for you. Teacher tries to open the door. It does not move. Teacher says he'll ask the maintenance dudes to help open it while he's away. Dude tries to force the door open. Instead falls through the door as he just creates a hole. Doing so, it does however open the door. Teacher comes back without maintenance guy. Teacher blanks for a moment, then says thanks for opening the door. I'll need to know who to thank. No one answers, but only one dude has pieces of wood in his hair, so he got caught. Not mine, but someone superglued the computer mouse to the desks in the computer lab. It was my son. My son did that. He never got caught, just told me long after the fact. It was legendarily stupid. We had mandatory swimming classes in my sophomore year of high school. Anyways, 3 days a week, the school was getting bomb threats and all of us would have to leave class and go to the gym. The threats always happened at the same time. This went on for weeks and weeks. It turns out there was this kid who didn't want to swim and who was using a payphone down the block to call in the threats. This was 1985. He goes suspended for 2 weeks and had to take gym for summer school. He is a legend to this day, yet I can't remember his name. Picked up the front end of the tractor, deadlift style, with the teacher sitting in the driver's seat of the tractor. The tractor was part of the ag department. It was a rural school. Teacher everyone hated just cause he was a pure bully. We had a fair snowfall, and he was on yard patrol. This shy kid launched the perfect snowball 40 fair mullet, and it went in his cup of juice, splashing out and soaking him. Kid went from zero to hero real quick. The senior prank one year was hiring a mariachi band to follow our principal around all day. He loved it, went classroom to classroom so everyone could see it and take pictures, videos, and have a fun break from class. Kid broke into the PA speaker room, or whatever it's called, locked himself in, and started publicly dismissing everyone's future detention sentences one by one. Then he started to just burp in the mic before we heard the teachers and the principal break in. The principal shouted, "You damn." Then it got cut off. A few years after I graduated, the school was preparing to take their assessment tests, which rate the schools. Many people think these tests are a waste of time, but they are important to school administrators. So, the principal orders that some classes are interrupted in order to make sure that all the kids have refreshers in some basic math and writing skills. A few kids in a US history honors class were angry. They resented the interruption, as the classes were preparing them for an independent app exam that awarded college credit. In response, they decided to intentionally sabotage the assessment tests. Our school was in an upper middle class area and regularly scored in low 90s, the top 10%. Then, suddenly, the school suddenly scored in the mid-low 80s. Turns out that 15-20 students out of 300 turning in absolute zeros can impact an average score. School administrators went berserk. Stories were circulated. Students were threatened. But nothing came of it. The students never confessed. The tests were anonymous. The school rules didn't forbid poor performance. It helped that the students were led by kids whose parents were well trained in protesting during the 1960s. Was a great scene. Grew pot in the lunchroom planters. Several guys got a VW Beetle on the roof above main entrance one night. Created a fake student that was elected homecoming king. This was not discovered by the faculty for 3 months. Post-update could not remember the fake student name, but pinged an old classmate. It was Elmo Dudley. Dumb teachers. Made the local news. What a riot. My English teacher was close to retirement, had really poor eyesight. A mate started the lesson on the right side of the classroom, managed to shuffle both himself his desk to the back of the room, and then over to the left. He then managed to climb through the window, sauntered round the building, came back into the room, apologized for being late. A guy I was friends with hid 26 iceberg lettuces around college. As far as he was aware, only 9 were found. Places included urinals, lockers, behind books on shelves, balanced on banisters and behind lights. It became a full-scale witch hunt for these lettuces. During our sats, heard wheels coming down the hallway. Look up to see out the window by the classroom door, and a kid from the grade below me was riding a skateboard down the hallway with a bong in hand, smoking it. In high school, 2 seniors who had been buds since forever got into a fight in the hallway in between class periods. What makes it legendary is that they first met in Taekwondo class when they were in kindergarten. Movies just show the performative aspect of martial arts. This was just, they were doing flying kicks at each other. It was so brutal. The teachers didn't dare to break them up. They only stopped because they got tired from beating each other senseless. I don't think the person who did it was ever caught, but during my junior year of high school, someone snuck in chickens. So there were a couple dozen chickens just roaming the halls, and all the teachers were panicking. For some reason, the faculty treated them like rabid dogs. There's nothing funnier than seeing literal roadblocks set up around a chicken and 4 teachers all red-faced and pulling their own hair. We had an English teacher in training with poor classroom management skills. She understood little of what was going on in front of her. To prove that point, a friend of mine jumped from a classroom window. It was a good 6 feet to the ground mid-class, and then casually walked through the schoolyard, back into the school, and then came back into the classroom. He told the teacher that he had gone to the bathroom. She nodded and just kept on with her lesson. For senior prank, a group of kids dressed up in all black with masks. They ran down the main hall of the school with industrial buckets of cheap vegetable oil, pouring it everywhere. I mean everywhere, right before the bell rang for passing period. Kids were slipping and falling all over the place, spreading the oil even further throughout the school. It was so bad they ended up sending everyone home so they could clean up the mess. The school did an investigation, pulling camera footage from campus and interviewing students. Of course, the kids were bragging to friends about their accomplishment, so the suspects were pulled into the office. They didn't even need to interrogate them. They knew they all did it. How? They were all wearing the exact same shoes. When they pulled it off, they were suspended for 5 days. School was pretty cool with the whole thing. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit universe.